Hey guys, so today's video is going to be a little bit different from what I'm used to. I'm not out on location, unfortunately. From my last video from the Cliffs of Moher, I'm not sure if you remember, but right at the very end, did this crazy sprint up the side of the cliff to get the final shot, and I had been struggling with a cold for about 3 to 4 weeks, and basically that was kind of what finished me, because I came straight home and ended up being dosed with the flu for about 4 or 5 days. So the downside is I've had no time whatsoever for any kind of photography, and it's time for this week's video. So obviously, because I've no content from being out and about, what I thought I would do, and hopefully you'll find this really useful, is show you how I actually edited one of the images from last week's video. So the one I've chosen is probably one of the favourite ones that I've shot, and it's one taken just as the sun was just about to set. So we've got this lovely orange sky and a lovely ball of sun just above the horizon line, and obviously then the big dramatic Cliffs of Moher on the left hand side. So I'm going to be editing in Lightroom and Photoshop, and also using Color Effects Pro a little bit as well, and I'll kind of talk you through the whole process from start to finish basically. So let's jump straight into Lightroom, and here we have the original raw file, shot on the 10th of the 12th, 16 minutes past 5 in the evening. And my workflow, to be honest, in Lightroom, I tend to do most of the stuff in Lightroom, and as I'm sure you've seen these things before, I pretty much work my way down this side panel here from top to bottom. The only thing that I do kind of go off track a little bit is whenever I bring the image in, I normally run the chromatic aberration and the enable lens profile correction. I'm shooting on the 16 to 35mm Zeiss lens here, so normally if you're shooting out around the 16mm mark, you will get a little bit of distortion, just a little bit, and obviously you can see down here and up in this corner as well. I had my filter holder at an angle like this here, so I was getting a little bit of it kind of creeping in, so I'm going to have to obviously remove that as well. But up along the top, so we start with the profile. Normally for the Sony files I will use Adobe Landscape, which immediately just gives the image a little bit of a, I guess, a pop. This is one of the things that I've found quite strange coming from Fuji files, is that the colours from the Fuji files, as soon as I applied their profile, just were absolutely amazing. And the Sony, they're good once you, for me personally, once you run the landscape profile, the colours do pop, but they do probably need a little bit more coaxing to bring them out at their best, whereas I kind of found the Fuji ones were just much better straight out of camera. But anyway, so that's the first thing, is normally running the profile, and I then probably normally look at my white balance just to see, and I'm actually going to just leave it as it was. I did dial in, I think I shot maybe on cloudy, possibly on the day. I was playing about a little bit when I was on location, so I'm happy with how the white balance looks. One of the things we're going to do is just try and straighten the image quickly, and maybe apply a little bit of a crop. So I'm just going to line up my horizon line here. It's not too bad, and I'm actually going to bring in a little bit just to remove those filter holders that I've just kind of crept into the side of the image. You can see as well over around here I've got a few dust bunnies which I'll have to clean up later on in Photoshop, but I'm going to do all the work in Lightroom first. So working our way down, I'm going to just pull my exposure up just a little bit here, just to bring back a little bit more detail, and I normally add in some contrast at this point as well, and we'll bring our highlights down just to keep a little bit more detail in the sky. And then this area here, we've got some really lovely light hitting it here. I'm just going to bump up the shadows just a tiny little bit, because at the end of the day I want this to be realistic looking, so I don't want it to look like an HDR image. That looks about right there. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of clarity I'll maybe just bring up the saturation just a bit. So even if I show you the before and after already, you can see a massive difference to the image, and that is only literally by using this top panel here and by applying the Adobe Landscape profile. Now obviously this is for the Sony a7R III. You may want to play about with whatever profiles you have for your own cameras, but the landscape one I find seems to work quite well with the Sony files. Okay, so next what I'll probably try and do then is start to apply some selective adjustments. So normally I would use the gradient tool or the Eclipse tool here. And this area here that I talked about with the shadows, I'm going to just pull in a little bit more shadow detail into it here. So I'm going to put on quite a strong filler here, so I'm going to bring it up probably nearly to right up to 100, and it's inverted, so basically means whatever's inside is going to change. So if I just reset that, so if I crank up the exposure or darken the exposure, you can see the effect it's having. So it's only affecting this bit in here. So all I want to do is add a little bit more detail in the shadows. Now it's just subtle, it's really just more to emphasize this bit here where the sun's obviously been hitting it. Again, it's quite hazy that day, so the things here are really subtle, but you can see even up here the sun is definitely hitting this bit, so I'm just trying to bring out a little bit more detail. I think that is probably enough. Sometimes as well what I would do is I would maybe bring a grad down on the sky, just maybe to pull back the highlights. Just reset that if it needed to, and maybe just add a little bit of colour or a little bit of saturation just to the sky. But that looks pretty good there. And this area here, I might bring in a little bit more shadow detail. Now what I don't want to do is start to just crank up the shadows in the whole image. To me it just starts to look very HDR-y whenever you start to do that. So this is just quite selective, so I'm going to use Eclipse tool again. I'm just going to bring it down in, and again my shadows, and just playing about just a little bit. I want it to look realistic. One of the amazing things is the dynamic range in the Sony. If I just again show you before and after, it's crazy what you can pull out of the shadows, and you do have to be careful that you're not actually ending up bringing too much detail out, because that's the temptation as to where you actually draw the line. Okay, so that's looking good. We've got some really lovely light hitting here and along here, as I say. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and emphasize that and warm it up. So to do that, I'm going to open the file up in Photoshop, and then I'm going to apply Color Effects Pro. Now I could do it through Lightroom, but one of the things that I actually prefer to do is to do it in Photoshop and do it in layers. So then I can brush in certain parts, I can change the opacity of the effect. I just have a bit more flexibility, and I can kind of tweak it and maybe apply it again to another layer until I'm kind of fine-tuned to the way I want it. So we have it open here in Photoshop, so I'm going to go again to Nick and Color Effects Pro 4. One of the things that I use a lot in this is the Brilliance and Warmth filter. Now, use this sparingly, be more subtle with it than you probably would care to be, because you can really overwarm an image here, and it's probably not going to look very realistic. But here we have it, and this has just been set at 45% warmth. So if I just remove it and I just bring it back, you can see, especially in the sky area and in this area along here, it's bringing in a really nice warmth. So I'm actually happy with the way that one's looking, so I'm gonna bring it in, and then what I'll do is I will add it again, but I'm going to emphasize and concentrate on this area here, just to try and get really maximize the warmth and the golden colors that's coming off those rocks. There's a couple of ways of doing this. You can selectively, when you're in Color Effects Pro, add the warmth to certain parts of the image. What I actually prefer to do is to apply it to the whole image, even though there's areas in it that it's too strong. And when I bring it back in as a layer, I'm actually going to use a mask it all out, and then brush back in the areas that I want to emphasize on. So just, this computer is extremely slow. Okay, so it has done it now, and here's the effects of the first warmth filter. So I'm happy with that, so I'm actually going to flatten it because I know that's not going to change, and I'm going to go back in again and I'm going to add the same effect, maybe slightly weaker, and it'll come in, as I say, on another layer. Okay, so one of the things, you can actually use these tools here, the control points, plus and minus, so you can click on it and actually go in and select where you want the effect to go. But as I say, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let it apply to the whole image. What I want to keep is all this here and all of this here, because the colors here now are looking amazing. I'm just warming it up because the light's already there. So I'm going to hit OK. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove it from all of this area here. So once it comes in as a layer, I am then going to apply a layer mask, which is this icon down here in the bottom. Now, if you've never used layers before, please do not be scared by this. It is pretty straightforward, and I will show you what I mean in a second. Okay, so that's been applied to the whole image, completely over the top on the sky. So what I'm going to do is hit the layer mask, and I'm going to hit Command and I to invert it. So basically it hides it, so it's showing up here as being black. And then I'm going to hit B for brush, and my brush tool. So basically, if you're using white or black, white reveals and black will hide. So I'm going to keep it white because I want to reveal the effect of the Color Effects Brilliance and Warmth filter. At the moment it's completely masked out. I'm going to put my opacity maybe down to about 50%, and I'm just going to start to rub back in the warmth, the effect of the warmth filter here on the areas that I want. Probably just bring up my opacity just a little bit more. Maybe a little bit just over the sea here as well. Okay, so you can see by the layer mask here, the bits that's black are hidden and the bits that are coming through as white are being shown. So if I turn this off and on, it's very subtle, but it's just bringing out some more detail in this area here, which is what I'm after. And again, I'm going to flatten it. And other than that, I reckon I'm not going to do too much. I do have to go in and clean up the image up. So for that, I normally use the spot healing brush. And I'm just going to clean up some of these dust bunnies. Okay, you get the picture. It looks pretty clean. And so there you go. That is pretty much the image finished. So this was what it was like before I brought it into Photoshop, and then this is what it's like after using Color Effects Pro. So that's literally all I've done in Photoshop, has been using Color Effects Pro and using the Brilliance and Warmth slider. Sometimes I will use the Pro Contrast. It's quite a useful tool, but normally the Photoshop stuff is quite minor. Maybe some dodging and burning, mostly color effects, and maybe cleaning up an image from maybe spots on the sensor or that sort of thing. And yeah, time to save it, and that's it, good to go. So yeah, I really hope that's been helpful. As I say, it's not my normal kind of video, but just because of circumstances and things this week, this is what I have for you. So I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have and you would like to see more stuff of this kind of content, let me know. Leave a comment below, because at the end of the day, the channel's for you guys, and I want to kind of be putting out content that you guys are actually interested in. So there's no point in me doing loads of these kind of things if you would rather prefer to see me out and about doing my thing, and kind of taking you along on the journey of that. So let me know. If you are first time here and you haven't subscribed, please do hit the subscribe button, and let me know what you think. I'd really appreciate the feedback, and yeah, hopefully the next time I will be out on location somewhere. Not sure yet where, but I have a few places in mind. So yeah, thanks very much for watching.